Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys That Magic. This is Hunter,
This is Dave.
and today is probably the final video we're doing for spoiler seasons of Modern Horizons 2 because they've spoiled all but one rare. Don't plan on making a video for one card. But let's just go ahead. Today is June 1st, 2021, so happy June.
Happy June.
Happy June. And first things first, we got the final Evoke Cycle card. That is the red one. It is called Fury. Fury is 2 red, 3 generic mana for a 3/3. It says it has a double strike. When Fury enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. And of course, it has the Evoke for an exile a red card from your hand. David, this card is awful.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
This card is the worst out of all of them.
I disagree.
Step 1, David. This card, unlike most of the others, does not have flash. You cannot flash this in.
Yes, I do admit not having flash here is a downside.
This is an awful card. Tell me why it's good. Go ahead. 4 damage. You can't even hit face.
This is the only one that doesn't 2-for-1 yourself. This is the only one where you actually net positive in card advantage. Or at least have the potential to.
Explain.
So, it deals 4 damage, divided as you choose amongst any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers, which means that you can evoke this, and if your opponent has 4 1/1s in play, congratulations, you just killed their entire board. This is the only one that can deal with more than a single target.
I hate
And
this card.
the planeswalker removal on this is also very, very real. Being able to hit a planeswalker for 4 will deal with most planeswalkers in the format. That'll kill a Regent 6, that'll kill a Liliana. I mean, you're going to be able to deal with most people's 1-drops, most people's 2-drops whenever it comes to the 4 damage. Now, I will admit, this is not my favorite card of the cycle. So I'm not going to try and defend it from that. But I do think that a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to say, wow, red really got the short end of the stick here. And I think this card is significantly more playable than what a lot of people think. The other thing here being is that you have to exile a card of the matching color in order to evoke this cycle. And I feel like with red, there's red deck wins, there's burn, there's goblins, there actually are mono red decks in the format. So I think this one might be one of the easier ones to evoke. I think that it's actually very real with what it does. I still don't think this is my favorite. The green one, 100% is still my favorite. But I don't think this one's bad.
I think black might be the best.
I see a lot of people very high on black. Black is probably my least favorite out of the entire cycle.
Well, I hate this card, so I'm not a fan. If they put flash on it, I might have a different opinion.
If they put flash on it, I think it would be very, very good. Without having flash, it is it's a very real restriction. But at the same time, I mean, even without this having flash, at least you're not losing mana on your turn because you're still evoking this thing. So it's not going to cost you anything aside from the card in your hand. I don't know. I mean, not being able to hit face with this is another downside. I think that if this were able to hit face, this card would easily be the most powerful out of the 5. Which I feel like not having that is probably for the best. But I don't think this is a bad card by any means.
Okay. You swayed me a little bit, but I still don't like it.
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, just you're looking at this card as you're never going to play it as a creature.
I'm probably not, to be completely honest with you. I mean, this is a 5-drop. A 5-drop in Modern is really, really slow. This thing, it has double strike, so it's got a nice body to it, but I mean, I would rather it have haste at that mana value just so that it does something relevant kind of immediately. I'm probably never going to hardcast this one. It's almost always going to be evoked.
Yep. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't like this card. You've swayed me a little bit, but I still don't like it.
I know. All right, let's move on to the next one.
What do we got?
All right, next up we have Murktide Regent. It is 5 blue for a creature dragon. It has Delve, the totally not busted most fair mechanic that they've ever come out with. Delve, for those of you who are lucky enough to be unfamiliar with it, says that each card you exile from your graveyard while casting the spell pays for 1 of the generic mana cost. It also has flying, and it states that whenever it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with the +1/+1 counter on it for each instant and sorcery card exiled with it. And whenever an instant or sorcery card leaves your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It starts as a 3/3.
So you're telling me for 2 mana I can have an 8/8 flyer?
For 2 mana, you can have an 8/8 flyer. Yep.
Seems legit. I love this card.
I absolutely hate this. So I am not a fan of Delve. If you look at Delve, Delve is one of the most broken mechanics in the entire game. I decided to just kind of like get an eye as to like the percentage of Delve cards out there and how many of which are actually banned. So I did the math on it, and 12% of all Delve cards are banned in at least one format. I feel like that should be like a huge red flag.
I don't know, man. 12% of Delve cards are banned. That seems like Delve's pretty good.
Delve is very good. I think Delve is one of the most powerful mechanics. So I mean, looking at something like this, like you scoff and you say, "So I can pay 2 mana for an 8/8 with flying." I think that's very real. I think that this is not a 7-drop. This is a 3-drop or a 4-drop. And if you're really building around this, this is a 2-drop.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a very doable thing. Just pitching cards, just looking for you. Basically, the whole point of this deck, I think, would just be searching for this card.
I don't even know, because like there's so many things that already you want to be putting into your graveyard. I mean, Modern is a place with fetch lands. So your land that you probably started turn 1 with is feeding into this thing. And I know that, yeah, okay, it's not going to get the +1/+1 counter on it because of the instant or sorcery on that, but it's still going to help get this thing into play significantly earlier. So I don't know. I know that a lot of people looked at Hogak from Modern Horizons 1, and whenever the card was first spoiled, a lot of people got either went in one of two different directions. Either one, they thought the card was horrible, or two, they immediately recognized that, hey, look, there is a problem here. And I think that something that both of these have in common, they are huge, fat creatures that are able to very quickly get in for damage, and they both have the Delve mechanic, which makes these things considerably cheaper than what they otherwise should be.
Yeah, this I think this is a really good card.
I think it's a very good card.
It's one of those that, since you've already said 12% of Delve cards are banned, I think this is one of them that might join the list.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be completely honest. I think that this 100% is Modern playable. I think that this is going to have decks built around it, and I'm kind of terrified to see how the meta develops with this. Because like, what are you gonna do? You have to pat this thing. It's gonna come in with a counter, so it's gonna be way too big for push. It's gonna be way too big for bolt. Like the other removal spell here is that you're gonna path it.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. Let's just move on. I think we both agree that this card might be the best card of the set, power level.
Ooh, I don't know about best. I'm still gonna ride high on that black card that we talked about yesterday, the Rogue, with Shadow. But I definitely think this is in the top 5.
All right, let's move on. This card is a Magus of the Bridge. It is 3 black mana for a 4/4. It says whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Also, it says when a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, exile Magus of the Bridge.
The dead know their place. I don't think this one knows its place.
Yeah, this is a really bad card.
Yeah. This is supposed to call back to Bridge from Below, which was a very good card. that you didn't actually have to have on the battlefield. So I don't know. This card is hard to cast. It's really not an impressive body. It's gonna exile itself probably fairly quickly. This is
Yeah,
not good.
I feel like an opponent just goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna sack this creature now."
I mean, that's assuming that they have a sack engine, which
I think most decks run sack engines.
no, I would disagree. Not in modern.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just 3 mana for 4/4. It's a good body, but how quickly is it gonna go away?
It's not even a good body. I mean, you say it's a 3 mana. Yeah, this card costs 3 mana. It's 3 black.
If you're
Unless
running
you are
mono,
playing, yeah, unless
yeah,
you're playing mono black, like this is gonna get kind of hard to cast.
yeah. I don't know. I don't like this card.
I don't either. It's trash. We agree.
All right, move on. What do we got?
Next up, we have Nictos Exemplar. It is 4 white for an enchantment creature. It's a human soldier at rare. It says whenever you gain life, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Do this only once per turn, or at least that's the translation that we got.
Yeah, that's what it says. I know. I believe people that translate it. It looks like
feel
it
like
says that.
I feel like to do this only once per turn might be a little bit different in English. Still having that same kind of limitation, just a little bit slightly different wording, but
Haz esto solo una vez por turno? That's only once per turn, dude.
I get that. But oftentimes, whenever you translate things to different languages, they pick up different verbiage. It's going to be the same effect. I'm just saying there might be some small little tweaks there.
Okay. What do you think of this card, dude?
Nope.
I like it.
I know you do. You like we disagree a lot on this channel.
Yeah, it's great. Here's the reason I like it. Say you have a lifelinker, right? A 4/4 lifelinker. Swings in for 4. Now everything on your field has +4/+4. That's cool, man.
That is.
I like that.
I don't think this card is good. So my thought on this is that if you are playing in a lifelink, I'm sorry, not a lifelink. If you're playing in a life gain deck, how are you gaining life? Are you gaining a massive quantity of life all in one shot? Or are you gaining a lot of life over a bunch of individual instances? Essentially, what I'm asking here is like, if you gain 5 life, are you gaining 5 life all at once, or are you gaining 1 life 5 times? Because this
Um,
card becomes significantly better or worse depending on which of those two situations that you're running into. My thought on this is like, if you're going to play a lifelink deck, sorry, not a lifelink deck, but like a life matters deck or a big life gain deck, you're probably going to be playing something like a Soul Sisters variant. And for the most part, those gain a lot of little life to amass up to that life gain engine, in which case this guy puts a +1/+1 counter on your board, which is still a +1/+1 counter. But I mean, Archangel of Thune, which is already in the format, it's already just barely fringe playable. It's 5 mana for a 3/4 with flying. It itself has lifelink, and it says whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Very similar text, but instead of caring about gaining a large amount of life in one shot, she cares about gaining that little bit repeatedly. And I think that for the most part, if you're going to be playing a life gain deck, you're probably gaining a little bit more repeatedly rather than just one big chunk.
yeah, I'll agree with you there. The repeat, the do only once per turn, I think was necessary for this card, especially with that text, because that could get out of hand very quickly.
As a 6-drop, though, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, this card is very expensive.
Okay, we're looking at it from a modern standpoint. How about for a EDH standpoint?
Okay, so I will admit with you there. This set that we're currently reviewing is Modern Horizons 2. So I'm trying to look at things specifically from that modern perspective. Whenever it comes to other formats, if this card was printed in Standard, I think that Standard, this is really, really good. If this card is specifically aimed at EDH, though, my same kind of thought process comes into play. Is that you're probably going to be wanting to gain a little bit of life repeatedly. I don't know of what are you doing in a life gain deck that's going to be gaining you, say, like 5 life or more in a single shot that you actually want to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be fun.
I don't know.
It's,
My
it's
thought
it,
on this, like, you could maybe play it in like an Orzhov deck where you're running like Gray Merchant, because at least in that case, like you'll drain your opponents for what, 6? So you get 6 +1/+1 counters on your things. Which, I mean, there you go. That's a combo that works for it. I don't know. I guess I see your point though. It's like there's a time and a place. I think there's already a better alternative in modern, and it's not
yeah,
very
in modern.
good.
I agree with you. This card's I don't think it's going to ever see play in modern. But as far as an EDH card, I can see it in life gain decks. I think it would be pretty dope to build around.
All right, I can see it in EDH, but there you go. I don't know. Wacky things happen in that format.
And that's kind of it as far as the mythics and rares go today. So we're just going to have to end this video with a couple of notable commons and uncommons. First things first, we have Break the Ice. Break the Ice is an uncommon. It is 2 black for a sorcery. It says destroy target land that is snow or could produce colorless mana. It also has Overload for 4 generic and 2 black. It's a very, very hateful snow card,
I
as
think
well
this is
as colorless.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. I think within modern as a whole, you're probably going to be using this more commonly to destroy lands that tap for colorless mana. So my first thought on this is like this messes up Tron by a good amount. I don't think that the overload on this is super applicable there, because if you've gotten to the point where you have 6 mana up against Tron, you're probably doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess at that point, this is just icing on the cake, because then you just hose their entire deck.
Yeah, I think it's really meant to disrupt early.
Absolutely. This is going to take out like a Tron piece to buy you a little bit more time. As far as other formats go, though, I think this one's really interesting. So obviously you can't play these things in standard, but I know that with all the new snow lands that were just printed with Call Time, a lot of people are running snow lands in EDH decks, which means it might be more of like a gotcha moment whenever you can blow up that snow. But there's also a lot of really good utility lands that do have the potential to tap for a colorless in Commander. So I think that this actually might be pretty decent.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good too. It definitely will make the person that you're destroying angry.
Oh, not even that, dude. It says overload. So like you build your deck around this and you just go to town.
True. Yeah, I think 6 mana to do that is pretty nuts. Destroy all snow cards, snow lands.
Or lands that produce that colorless. I care more about the kind of colorless, but I know that there are a lot of people out there right now who are packing snow.
Packing snow.
Got that powder.
That's right, man. All right, move on, David. What do we got?
So this card was spoiled this morning. It's called Faithless Salvaging. It's 1 and a red. It's an instant, and before I even read what it does, I saw this card, and just by looking at the name, I was immediately disappointed, because I knew that this was going to be one of those callbacks where it was like, hey, remember that card that you all used to love? Some of you, I guess, probably hated it. That we got rid of. Here is a significantly worse version of it. I knew that they were going to do that. So
Yeah.
Faithless Salvaging for 2 mana says discard a card, then draw a card. It also has Rebound, which says that if you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. And then at the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this from exile without paying its mana cost.
So for
This is
2 mana,
not
you get to do it
Faithless.
twice.
I don't care. This is not Faithless Looting.
Yeah,
You're I'm sorry, you go.
I was gonna say they trolled you really hard, even with the flavor text on this card.
I didn't
You
even
notice
read the flavor text.
all that's left are broken beliefs.
That's that. Yep. They got me. Like, I didn't even have to read what the card did. I sighed whenever I just read the name this morning because I was like, "Oh, here we go. I know it."
Yeah, this hurts your heart. Faithless
It
Looting
does.
was your baby.
Fates, yeah. So in Modern, I used to play Mordu Pyromancer and Hollow One, of which Faithless Looting was a key card in both of those decks. This is not a replacement. All right, I'm done talking about this card. It makes me sad.
All right, we'll just move on, dude. It's not Faithless Looting. It's not even close to Faithless Looting. It's just said, hey, remember that card? You're not getting it back.
Yep.
Next up, we have Ornithopter of Paradise. This is 2 generic mana for a 0/2 Thopter. It has flying. It also says tap, add a mana of any color.
This is dope. This is a Bird of Paradise for any EDH deck you want to put a Bird of Paradise in.
That's true.
So,
I mean, it doesn't have any attack, but
I mean,
it's
that
just
is Bird of Paradise.
just a mana dork.
Yeah. But I mean, it fixes for you. It's incredibly easy to cast because it just costs a 2 generic. I think if you are, I don't know, like a 3 or more color deck in EDH, this could actually be a pretty viable creature to throw in your deck. It helps it helps you to ramp a little bit because you're going to be netting that extra mana whenever this thing taps. So it is accelerating you. It also fixes your mana because it can tap for 1 mana of any color. Now, if you're in green, you're not playing this card. You have a million better options out there. But if you're not in green, if you're playing like a Grixis deck, this might actually be a pretty solid choice.
Yeah, I think that yeah, you're right. A Bird of Paradise being green only, this slides into any color. Granted, it's 1 extra mana, but it's still a excellent source of ramp. It is just 2 Birds of Paradise combined, minus the fact that it's not 2 mana, but
It is 2
it's
mana.
what
It
it
just
is.
doesn't tap for 2 mana. This card would
That's
be
what I
way
mean.
cooler if it tapped for 2 mana.
That would be broken. But I like it. Final card, David. What do we got?
Final card that we're going to talk about today is Blossoming Calm. Blossoming Calm is a single white mana for an instant. It states that you gain hexproof until your next turn. You gain 2 life, and it has rebound, which I've already kind of gone over once this video, so I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah, I think this card is great.
I think this card is interesting. I think a lot of people look at this and they think of like Veil of Summer effects, and they're trying to get that same kind of thing here in white. It's only you that gets hexproof, so it's not your stuff, which I think is a very key distinction here. You also gain 2 life on that. I don't care. In 90% of situations, that's almost flavor text. But I mean, up against some decks, this can buy you a lot of time. This saves you from a Thoughtseize twice. So I mean, this could be pretty good if you're playing up against a combo deck that does need to target you. If you're playing up against a mill deck or any kind of deck that's trying to run any form of hand disruption, this has a place. I mean, even up against something like a burn deck, this does so much against them because now they're not going to be able to bolt you, and you're gaining life on top of that. Actually, I like to gain life. I've talked myself into that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, David, for 1 mana you get 4 life. That's pretty solid.
I don't care about life gain, but I do see this as actually being a pretty impactful card when it goes to facing off against burn. That's why I'm changing my mind against it. Being able to stall them like that buys you some time. That life gain is also going to buy you additional time. So
Think about it, man. If you had Nictos Exemplar, you get to give all your stuff +2/+2, and then +2/+2 the next turn for 1 mana.
And apparently you've made it to turn 7. Which, if you've made it to turn 7 and you're not dead, you're probably doing something right, or your opponent is doing something very wrong.
Hey, man, you never know. You've given yourself hexproof 1,000 times. You're not dead yet.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a dope card, man. I think it's really good at an uncommon. The rebound effect for 1 mana is fantastic. You just, you like you said, save yourself from Thoughtseize twice. Save yourself from getting bolted in the face.
I think
Yeah,
that might be the better situation too.
Yeah, getting bolted.
Yeah, because I mean, this is an instant, so you can cast this as they try to bolt and stuff like that too to try and give yourself hexproof.
True. And bolt is 3 damage, where this is going to give you 4 life for the
Yep.
next 2 turns. Yeah, I love this card. Great. That's it, man. That's the spoilers for today, June 1st, 2021. That's the end of spoiler season.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye and see if they have anything else relevant that drops tomorrow. For the most part, it's just going to be a common dump. So we may or may not have something to talk about. I'll keep an eye out for it. If there is anything cool that I think we should probably bring up, we'll go ahead and sit down and have a talk. But aside from that, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, it's been great. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below. Let us know any thoughts. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button. Follow us on our socials at Guys That Magic on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, this is Guys That Magic.
Later.
Peace.